ASMR. Oh, hi. How are you? My name's May, and today I'm going to be your psychologist. I'm going to take you through a little personality test that I actually discovered quite a while ago when I was much younger, but I rediscovered it the other day and thought that I would love to share it with you all. This particular psychology test is called the Cube, and I believe it was created by a psychologist from Japan. Now it says here that this test is designed to encourage you to delve into your inner self and allow you to reveal the truth about your subconscious to your conscious mind. Sounds deep, but I also think it's just a lot of fun. Now during this test, it's important that you let your mind wander freely. Describe whatever comes to your mind first. There's no right or wrong answers. If you prefer, you can close your eyes, and that's what I would suggest. But on the other hand, if you'd like to keep your eyes open and perhaps write down your answers as we go along, that's okay too. So to start the exercise, for those that do want to close their eyes, I'd just like you to close them softly now. And don't worry, you'll be able to open them again at the end when we go through the answers. So slowly close your eyes, make yourself comfortable. And now I want you to take a deep breath, and as you exhale, just feel all your thoughts leaving your mind. Empty your mind. Ready? Deep breath in and exhale out. Are you ready? Let's begin. First, I'd like you to picture yourself in a desert. A vast desert. That desert can look however you'd like it to look, but just take a second to conjure that up in your mind. Now I'd like you to picture a cube in that desert. Once again, that cube can look however you'd like it to look. Try to think about the cube in as much detail as possible. Is the cube large? Is the cube small? Do you see the cube embedded in the desert sand? Is it on the surface? Or perhaps is it floating above the ground? Is the cube hollow inside, or is it solid? Is it transparent, or is it opaque? Have you got your cube? Good. Now, I want you to imagine that a ladder appears. Again, try and picture this ladder in as much detail as possible. It can be anywhere in the desert that you like. Think about where the ladder is in respect to the cube. Is it next to the cube? Is it far away from the cube? Perhaps it's leaning up against the edge of the cube. Is the ladder old? Is the ladder new? Is it long or is it short? What material is the ladder made of? Have you got it? Let's move on. Now, as you're looking at that ladder, a horse now appears in the scene. Please describe for me What color is the horse? What is the horse doing? Perhaps it's grazing on the grass. Perhaps it's standing still. Perhaps it's running through the desert. It can be doing whatever you'd like it to do. Once you've thought some more about what yours looks like, we're going to imagine some flowers now in your desert. Take a moment to picture them for me. Think about how many flowers there are. Are there a few? Are there many? Do they fill the desert completely? Where are these flowers growing? Are they strong? Are they healthy? Or perhaps are they wilting and dying? And now I'd like you to imagine that there's a thunderstorm in your desert. Where do you see the storm? Is it far away in the distance? Or is it close by, above your cube perhaps even? Is it close to the horse, the ladders, or the flowers? Or is it everywhere across the desert entirely? Is the storm affecting anything in the picture? Is it getting in the way of the horse running through the field? Or is it helping the flowers to bloom? Are there strong winds? Just take a moment now to solidify that image in your mind. Picture very clearly the desert with your cube, the ladder, the horse and your flowers, and that storm. Have you got it? Now gently open your eyes. If you'd like to pause here and take some notes, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we'll move on, and it's time to see what your scene says about you. Now, to start with, the general desert represents your worldview. So if your desert was dry and dead, it could mean you're feeling pessimistic. Grassy and healthy, on the other hand, means perhaps a more optimistic worldview. If it's well trimmed, it could mean that you're analytical and perhaps cautious. Now onto that cube of yours. The cube represents you, your ego. A big cube depicts perhaps a more confident person, someone with perhaps a bigger ego, bold, strong, and willing to be seen. A smaller cube, on the other hand, perhaps might represent someone more humble, or more introverted, more shy, perhaps a more modest type who prefer to blend in rather than stand out. Now, if your cube was standing on the desert surface, it implies stability. You probably know what you want from life. You're quite a grounded person, and you tend to get things quite logical, precise. A sunken cube, or one covered with sand, points to the more pedantic, one-step ahead type. If your cube was floating above the ground, that could mean that you're perhaps a more artistic type of person, often the dreamers and creators, as well as those who are spiritually elevated. Let's say that your cube was spinning or moving. This could refer to you being open-minded or your spontaneous and adaptable nature. A solid cube tells you that you know who you are and you're not easy to manipulate and you carry self-assurance, whereas a hollow cube could mean that perhaps you're still discovering your inner self. It also just suggests that perhaps you care quite a lot about outward appearances. And a cube with a transparent surface was far away, then perhaps the goals aren't really that important to you right now, or you're not putting as much effort into them. Now the location and what the ladder was made of can also tell you how close you are with your friends. So the closer the ladder is to the cube, and the stronger the ladder is, the better it is for your friendships. If your ladder is near the cube, you are very close with your friends, and if it's actually leaning on the cube, it means you believe that you can lean on your friends for support. If the ladder was far away from the cube, you might have a hard time opening up to people and letting them get close to you. If the ladder material was strong, it means that perhaps you have a strong bond with your friends. And if it was weak, then perhaps there's a weak bond between you and those around you. Now for your horse. The horse represents your partner, or your ideal partner. If the horse is a sturdy brown working horse, then perhaps a dependable and reliable partner is what you're looking for. If you saw a glamorous dancing horse, perhaps you're the sort of person that values outward appearance more, whilst a unicorn might reveal unrealistic expectations. Insecurities or uncertainties in a relationship could be depicted as a horse moving away from the cube, whilst a horse moving towards the cube could be a sign of a new relationship or the strengthening of an old one. A close relationship would be revealed by a horse that is once again close to the cube. If your horse is running around, it could mean that you value a partner that gives you your independence. If the horse is calm and grazing, it means that you value a partner who is stable and calm. If your horse was tied up, perhaps it means that you feel a need to be controlling in your relationship. If the horse had a saddle, it could also signify control, or it could signify the need to feel secure with your partner. Now on to the flowers. The flowers in your desert represent your family and friends. The number of flowers reflects your popularity, or how many friends you surround yourself with, and the location indicates how close you are with your social groups. If there was just a few scatterings of flowers around, it could mean that you are very close with your family or friends and have a more smaller, tight-knit circle. If there's lots of them, then you're more of a social butterfly and you'll never be lonely. If you have children, they can also represent the relationship that you have with them. Have a look at the flowers in your desert. Are they blooming, or are they in need of attention? Look at the distance between those flowers and your cube. That can ask. Look at the distance between the cube and the flowers. Maybe have a think about how that could relate to how close you are with your children. And finally, the storm. The storm represents your fears or the stress that's in your life. If your storm is just mild and passing through like a scatter of rain, while you aren't immune to stress, you know that things must pass. If the storm is strong, then perhaps it means that when you are stressed, you go all in and have a very hard time getting yourself out of that cycle. You're much more prone to stress. If the storm is in the background on the horizon, it means that any obstacles at the moment are not at the forefront of your mind, and it can also also mean that you're quite good at managing your anxiety. If that storm's right above your cube, on the other hand, it means that you are quite deeply affected by the stresses and obstacles in your life. How did we do? Was it accurate? While this test is fun more than anything else, I think it still is quite useful in helping us to understand a little bit more about ourselves and also about those around us. I like going back to this one from time to time to see if my answers change.